By and large, this analytical probing, questioning part of your mind is the part that you think of as being you. So let's talk about old brain logic. In sharp contrast to the new brain, you are unaware of most of the functions of your old brain. Trying to comprehend this part of your being is a maddening task because you have to turn your conscious mind around to examine its own underbelly. Scientists who have subjected the old brain to this kind of scrutiny tell us that its main concern is self-preservation. Ever on the alert, the old brain constantly asks the primeval question, is it safe? As it goes about its job of ensuring your safety, your old brain operates in a fundamentally different manner from your new brain. One of the crucial differences is that the old brain appears to have only a hazy awareness of the external world. Unlike the new brain, which relies on direct perception of our outside phenomena, the old brain derives its incoming data from the images, symbols, and thoughts produced by the new brain. This reduces its data to very broad categories. For example, while your new brain easily distinguishes John from Susie from Margaret, your old brain summarily lumps these people into 6 basic categories. The only thing your old brain seems to care about is whether a particular person is someone to nurture, be nurtured by, have sex with, run away from, submit to, or attack. Subtleties such as this is my neighbor, my cousin, my mother, or my wife slide right on by. The old brain and the new brain differ in so many ways and are constantly exchanging and interpreting information. Here's how this takes place. Let's suppose that you are alone in your house and all of a sudden person A walks through the door. Your new brain automatically creates an image of this creature and sends it to your old brain for scrutiny. The old brain receives the image and compares it with other stored images. Instantly, there is a first observation. This humanoid is not a stranger. Apparently, encounters with this creature have been recorded there before. A millisecond later, there's a second observation. There are no dangerous episodes associated with this image. Out of all the interactions you have had with this mystery guest, none of them have been life-threatening. Then, rapidly, a third observation. There have been numerous pleasurable episodes associated with this image. In fact, the records seem to suggest that A is someone who is nurturing. Having reached this conclusion, the limbic system sends an all-clear signal to the reptilian brain, and you find yourself walking toward the intruder with open arms, operating out of your new brain. You say, "Aunt Mary, what a pleasure to see you." All of this takes place outside your awareness in only a fraction of a second. To your conscious mind, all that has happened is that your beloved Aunt Mary has walked through the door. Meanwhile, as you visit with your aunt, the data gathering process continues. This latest encounter produces more thoughts, emotions, and images, which are sent to the limbic system to be stored in the part of your brain reserved for Aunt Mary. This new data will be a part of the information scanned by the old brain the next time she comes to visit. Now let's look at a slightly different situation. Let's suppose that the person who walked in the door was not Aunt Mary, but your sister, her sister, Aunt Carol, and instead of greeting her with open arms, you found yourself resenting the interruption. Why such a different reaction to these two sisters? Let's pretend that when you were 18 months old, you spent a week with Aunt Carol while your mother was in the hospital having another baby. Your parents, trying to prepare you in advance for this visit, explained to you that Mommy is going bye-bye to that hospital to bring home a little baby brother or sister. The words hospital or brother and sister had no meaning to you, but Mommy and bye-bye certainly did. Whenever they are mentioned, these two words together, you felt anxious and sucked your thumb. Weeks later, When your mother went into labor, you were lifted out of your crib in a sound sleep and transported to Aunt Carol's house. You woke up alone in a strange room, and the person who came to you when you cried was not your mother or father, but Aunt Carol. You dwelled in anxiety for the first few days. Even though Aunt Carol was loving and kind to you, you felt abandoned. This primal fear became associated with your aunt, and for years, the sight of her or the smell of her perfume sent you running from the room. In later years, you had many pleasurable or neutral experiences with Aunt Carol. Nonetheless, 30 years later, when she walks into the room, you feel the urge to run away. It is only with great discipline that you rise to greet her. No time like the present. This story illustrates an important principle about the old brain. It has no sense of linear time. Today, tomorrow, and yesterday do not exist. Everything that was still is. Understanding this basic fact about the nature of your unconscious may help explain why you sometimes have feelings within your relationship that seem alarmingly out of proportion to the events that triggered them. For example, imagine that you are a 35-year-old woman, a lawyer in a prestigious firm. One day you are sitting in your office thinking warm, loving thoughts about your husband and decide to call him. You dial his number, and his secretary informs you that he is out of the office and can't be reached. Suddenly, your loving thoughts vanish and you feel a surge of anxiety. Where is he? Your rational mind knows that he's probably calling on a client or enjoying a late lunch, but another part of you feels, let's be honest, abandoned. There you are, a sophisticated, capable woman, and just because your husband isn't available, you feel as vulnerable as you did when your mother left you all day with an unfamiliar babysitter. Your old brain is locked in an archaic perspective. Or let's suppose that you're a middle-aged man, a middle manager in a large company. After a hectic day at work where you managed to placate important clients and put the finishing touches on a multi-million-dollar budget, you drive home eager to share your successes with your partner. When you walk in the door, you see a note from your partner saying that you will be late coming home from work. You're stopped dead in your tracks. You had counted on her being there. Do you recover from the disappointment and relish the time to yourself? Do you use the time to do a final check on the budget? Yes, but not before you head straight for the freezer and consume 2 bowlfuls of bland sweet vanilla ice cream, as close as a substitute for mother's milk as you can possibly find. The past and the present live side by side within your mind. Now that we've spent some time pondering the nature of the unconscious mind, let's return to the original discussion of mate selection. How does this information about the old brain add to our understanding of romantic attraction? The curious phenomenon I noted earlier in this exploration was that we seem to be highly selective in our choice of mates. In fact, we appear to be searching for a one and only, with a very specific set of positive and negative traits. What are we doing? I have discovered from years of theoretical research and clinical observation is looking for someone who has the predominant character traits of the people who raised us. Our old brain, trapped in the eternal now and having only a dim awareness of the outside world, is trying to recreate the environment of childhood. And the reason the old brain is trying to resurrect the past is not a matter of habit or blind compulsion, but of a compelling need to heal old childhood wounds. The ultimate reason you fell in love with your mate, I am suggesting, is not that your mate was young and beautiful, had an impressive job, had a point value equal to yours, or had a kind disposition. You fell in love because your old brain had your partner confused with your parents. Your old brain believed that it had finally found the ideal candidate to make up for the psychological and emotional damage you experienced in childhood. Isn't that crazy? But that's how we're designed. Chapter 2, Your Childhood Wounds, coming next.